Hi guys, so this video is our start of our trimester review. We're first going to review Unit 1 on Thursday and Friday in class, and then on Monday during our review session, we're going to review Unit 2, since that is more recent. So this is all stuff you've seen before. We are just recapping it to try to remember what we did earlier in the trimester. So the first unit, we talked a lot about integer operations or rational numbers. So we start with our tic-tac-toe board. All right, and if we remember how to use this, I look at my first two columns. So if I have a plus and then a minus, what does that equal? And then our last column tells us how the sign changes. So different signs that we see in the first two rows, this tells us when they're different, we end up with a negative sign. And if they are the same, so like a negative and negative, a plus and a plus, we end up with a plus sign. All right. This also tells us how to add and subtract, so we need to keep that in mind as well. All right, so let's start with multiplying or dividing. So I'm going to go over here to the right. So I have negative 9 times negative 4, so that's a negative times a negative, which means my answer is going to be positive, and 9 times 4 is 36, so my answer is just 36. Here in the bottom one, I have no sign, which means it's a positive, divided by a negative. So that is different signs. So that means my answer is going to be a negative. So I have positive 24 divided by negative 6. That gets me negative 4. All right, when we are adding and subtracting, the rules are a little different. And here's where a lot of people make some mistakes. So here I have different signs. That doesn't mean my answer is going to be negative. That means it's telling me what operation I need to do. And the operation I need to do is subtraction. So 36 take away 12 is 24. All right, and how do I determine what my final operational sign is going to be? I determine that based off which one was bigger. All right, and the 36 is the bigger one, so that means there's more negatives, which means my answer is also going to be a negative. All right, another way this works with addition and subtraction is if I have double signs in the middle. So I see that those are different signs, so I need to change it to a minus or a negative. And now I have a positive 18 take away 14. That is just subtraction. And that gets me 4. All right, which one was bigger? The 18 is bigger, so it stays a positive 4. All right, then we also worked with word problems, okay? And remember with word problems, we need to identify our integers first, and then we need to write our expression. All right, so the high temperature one day was 30 degrees. That is positive 30. Then it dropped 23 degrees. So that means negative 23. What was the total change in temperature? And remember, total means we are adding. So we have 30 plus negative 23 is our expression. Solve it. I have double signs. They are different, so that changes to a subtraction. And then we just have standard subtraction here. 30 take away 23. That gets me 7. But 7 what? What am I talking about? I need to make sure to answer the question in complete sentences. So that's why I always like to squiggle the question. What is it asking me? What was the total change in temperature? So the total change was 7 degrees. That is my final answer. Okay, let's do it again. A scuba diver descends 63 feet. Descends means, what does it look like? It means go down. So that means negative 63. This happens in 18 seconds. Time is always going to be positive. We don't go back in time. All right, what integer represents the change in the diver's position in feet per second? So this per tells me that I'm going to do the operation of division. So it's going to be negative 63 divided by 18. All right, so I have a negative and a positive. That is going to give me a negative answer. Negative 63 divided by 18. I don't expect you to know. We've got to use our calculator for that because it's a rational number. All right, but that, again, doesn't tell me the answer. What was the question asking me? What integer represents the change in the diver's position in feet per second? Okay, so feet per second means the diver went down 3.5 feet per second. All right, I didn't have to put that negative in my answer because I'm using the word down. The down is what tells me that it's negative. All right, then the last thing we talked about in this unit, and remember, I'm just picking highlights here, is rational or irrational numbers. Okay, remember, our irrational number has no pattern, and it goes on forever. And a rational number is either terminating or repeating. Okay, so let's look at some of these numbers. Let's look at the first one. The first one has the line above it. That means it is repeating, and if it's repeating, it is rational. The second number, it doesn't have repeating, it doesn't have a dot to dot. That means it is terminating. If it's terminating, it is also rational. Let's look at the next one. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I see a dot, dot, dot that tells me it goes on forever. I see that there is no pattern. This means it is irrational. All right, my last two I need to test first. I'm sorry, this one I need to test. The square root of 62, so I'm going to do that on the side. Square root of 62, I'm going to type it in my calculator and see if I get a rational or irrational number. So I get something that looks like this. Is this rational or irrational? It is irrational, so make sure when I'm putting it in, I'm putting in the original. Okay, and then the last one is negative 13 divided by 1. Let's simplify that. Negative 13 divided by 1 is just the same thing as saying negative 13. Is this terminating, repeating, or irrational? It is terminating, so it means it is rational. All right, and then we need to order them, okay? I'm going to order them starting, let's count, let's see. Let's count by 2. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. All right, I have 4.27. That's going to go somewhere after the 4. I have 0.375. 0.2. That's going to go over here. Square root of 62 is close to 8. And negative 13 would be on the negative side. That would be over here, and I don't have that, so I'm just going to put it over here. All right, last question, because this video is getting quite long, but it has a lot of important stuff in it. Is 5.7145 greater than, less than, or equal to square root of 29? First, we need to figure out what is the square root of 29. All right, so when I plug that into my calculator, I see that it is 5.38516, and it goes on forever. It's irrational. All right, so let's start my sentence. 5.7415 is blank, then because, all right, so which one is it? Is it greater than, less than, or equal to? So they're definitely not equal to. So is this number greater or less? It is greater because 5.7 is larger than 5.3. As always, if you have any questions, type them in at the end of the video.